You always deliver. The deadline hits, you hit it back. Your manager has never had to follow up with you. When something difficult arises on the team, the complicated client, the impossible timeline, the project nobody else wants, it finds its way to your desk. You are the person the room relies on. And that is exactly why you are not getting ahead. Because reliability in most organizations is not rewarded, it is taxed. By the end of this video, you are going to understand the exact mechanism by which organizations systematically extract value from their most capable people while consistently advancing different ones. And once you see it, the patterns you've been watching for years will finally have a name. Here's how it works. Every organization runs on something called management attention. Your manager has a finite amount of it, and they direct it not by deliberate choice, but by instinct toward the things that cause them the most discomfort. That is not a character flaw. That is a rational response to pressure. When you deliver consistently, you remove yourself from that equation entirely. There is no discomfort associated with you, no missed deadline to chase, no escalation to manage, no difficult conversation to prepare for. You become invisible to the attention allocation. Your manager stops thinking about you because there is nothing to think about, which sounds like a compliment. It is not. The moment you become invisible to management attention, you also become invisible to the conversations that determine who gets the raise, who gets the new project, who gets the opportunity. Those conversations happen between the things your manager is actively thinking about. You are not one of them. Meanwhile, the person on your team who consistently misses deadlines, who escalates problems, who creates friction, they get the meetings, they get the one-on-ones, they get the check-ins. They appear constantly in your manager's mental landscape, not because they are better, because they are louder. Your brain has unconsciously filed their name as significant. It has filed yours under handled. Handled does not get promoted. Handled gets more work. Here's the part nobody warns you about. Reliability attracts load. Once you've demonstrated that you can absorb more than your peers, the organization quietly adjusts its expectations of what you are there to carry. Nobody announces this. Nobody sits across from you and says, because you are more capable, we are giving you more work at the same rate of pay without changing your title. It simply becomes the new baseline. Think about two professionals starting in similar roles in the same organization. One delivers consistently, without drama, without fail. One delivers inconsistently, sometimes excellent, sometimes late, always requiring some degree of management involvement. 12 months later, the consistent performer is carrying responsibilities that were never in their job description. They've absorbed 3 pieces of work that officially belong to no one. They've received no recognition for any of them because taking on extra work without being asked has become what is expected of them. The inconsistent performer in that same 12 months has received coaching sessions, structured check-ins, and a documented improvement plan, and has spent a disproportionate amount of time in their manager's calendar. The load gets pushed away from friction toward you. That is not cruelty. That is how systems naturally optimize. Here's what makes it worse. Your reliability creates a ceiling. This is the calculation most capable professionals never run. When you become known as the person who makes things function, you become structurally important to your current role. Your manager doesn't want to lose a load-bearing wall. Promoting you creates a gap in their operation, in their output, in their own performance metrics. That gap has to be filled. Finding someone to fill it costs time, attention, and risk. For your manager, the cost of promoting you is real and immediate. The benefit of promoting you, which accrues to you and to the organization at a higher level, is distant and abstract. So they keep you where you are, not out of cruelty, out of a rational calculation in which your advancement is not worth the disruption it causes them personally. And you've been making yourself more expensive to promote every time you quietly absorbed another responsibility and delivered it without ever naming it. But here's the layer that almost nobody catches. Your reliability is not only limiting your own advancement, it's actively sustaining the dysfunction around you.
Consider what happens in a team where one person is highly reliable. The less reliable members operate, consciously or not, with the knowledge that there is a net beneath them. Deadlines flex for them because the output will arrive anyway. Quality can slip because someone will catch it. The organization doesn't address the underlying problem because the problem is not producing visible pain. You are absorbing the pain, silently, invisibly, every day. Every time you stayed late to make the deadline real, you removed the signal that would have forced the organization to confront what was broken. Every time you quietly fixed a colleague's mistake before it became visible, you made the dysfunction sustainable. Your competence made the problem invisible, and invisible problems don't get solved, which means the conditions that are taxing you will remain in place as long as you keep paying the tax. You did everything right. You showed up, you delivered every time. You built a reputation for something real, not performed, not manufactured, not political. When they needed someone they could genuinely count on, they thought of you. That was not nothing. That was proof of real capability. The rules you were handed were not dishonest. They were simply incomplete. Nobody told you that reliability was the entry fee, not the destination. Nobody told you that the skills that make you trusted are entirely different from the skills that make you visible in the ways that determine advancement. You followed every instruction correctly. The instructions just had a page missing. Here's what actually governs outcomes. Organizations do not systematically advance their most reliable people. They advance the people who are most legible to decision makers in the moments that matter. At a certain level of the organization, reliability stops being a signal. It becomes a baseline. What reads as advancement potential is something different. It's the ability to make your output visible to the people who were not present when you did the work. It's the capacity to translate what you delivered into the language leadership uses to describe what they need. It's treating your work as a product with an audience rather than a service that disappears upon completion. The professionals who consistently advance aren't always the highest performers in technical terms, but they are reliably better at ensuring the right people understand what they have delivered in terms that connect to decisions already being made above them. Not through self-promotion, through deliberate translation. A simple note to a senior stakeholder, a brief summary after a project closes, a question in a meeting that connects what you've done to what they are worried about. Small signals, but those are the signals the organization is actually reading. Your reliability is already there. It's real. What it needs now is a translator. There's a quiet truth at the center of all of this. You were taught to be reliable as if reliability was the destination. It was only ever the price of admission. The organizations that depend on you most are often the ones most likely to keep you exactly where you are, because what you provide there is irreplaceable, and replacing it costs them more than advancing you ever would. Understanding the mechanism doesn't dismantle it overnight, but it changes what you decide to make visible, and to whom, and why. That's corporate GPS, the map they never handed you.